Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here, whether you're listening on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or wherever. If perhaps you're on my website, it's great to have you here, and thank you for being so. My name's Steve Mills. Some people call me the results guy, based on the fact that I run a company called Results Mastery. And for over 30 years now, I was clearly very young when I started. For over 30 years, I've been helping small businesses to basically become more effective, to make more money more easily, more often, and to improve their results. So that's what we're about today. But I'm going to give you today an example of how I work. And sometimes, not always, because marketing's marketing and it doesn't always work, but I'm going to give you an example of something that worked astonishingly well a little while ago. And I'm going to tell you how I turned some Facebook advertising into, I'll just say for now, a significant amount of profit. It was losing money. I came along, started working with this company, and they made an absolute fortune. I did okay. Let me just tell you to start with, because I think this is quite important. Firstly, this is not bullshit, right? And this is no BS. This is true. However, it does come with a bit of a caveat. I don't want to name the company. I don't want to tell you anything about the company and who they are, other than to say they're a client of mine. They've been so for several years, on and off. I've had various projects with them. And they came to me a little while ago, and they were doing some Facebook advertising. They were spending at the time £1,000 a month, which is a reasonable investment, isn't it? It's not bad. The problem is that they weren't making £1,000 a month. They were actually making about £500 a month. So every month went by, they lost £500 from their advertising. It was for them, it was a couple of sales, maybe 2-3 sales, to give you an idea of where they were in terms of average unit of sale. Excuse me. And so they asked me to get involved. They asked me to try to help. And the first thing I always do is I look at are they spending enough money or too much money? And at first I thought, do you know what? They're spending too much money at the moment, because they don't want to keep on doing that. They don't want to spend that next month and lose another 500. Because sometimes, you in marketing, you have to test and see if by changing things you can improve the return on investment. And sometimes you change things and it doesn't quite go as well as you would like, even with me, with my 30 years experience. So what I decided to do firstly was cut back their budget to £200. That's not too bad. If you spend 200 and you lose 100, that's a bit of a pain in the what, but it's not the end of the world. So we believe that we could conduct a reasonable test with with £200. And the first thing we looked at with their advert was not actually the advert, because the advert was creating clicks. They were spending their £1,000, and it was pay-per-click advertising. Not, as somebody told me, paperclip advertising. It's not the same thing, trust me. Pay-per-click advertising. So you pay every time somebody clicks on your ad. So the ad was working. The problem is the ad wasn't converting. So in other words, the advert's over here, people click, go to the website over here, and then leave without buying. That was the problem. So we did some work on the website. We changed the headline. We took the call to action from right down at the bottom of the page. That's where it normally is, isn't it? Like on the bit that, the least people look at. And we moved it up to what's known as above the fold. Those of you who are old enough will recall when you buy newspapers, they're often folded in half. And above the fold is the top bit that you see before you lower it down. In the modern world that we live in, on a website, above the fold is the text that you see before you have to start scrolling down. So it was above the fold, so in view on the landing page. And that's another important thing. A lot of people use Facebook and send people to the home page. No, you send them to the landing page, the page that you want them to buy from, not just a generic page on your website. So we did that, and literally in the first couple of weeks, we got the return on investment from what I'd call 0.5%. So in other words, you invest £1 and you get 50p back. We got it from that to invest £1 and get £4 back. So that was a major improvement. You know, they're now in profit. They spend £1,000 and get £4,000 back. You could probably live with that, couldn't you? So we increased the budget. We increased the budget back up to £1,000. Why wouldn't we? We then thought, right, okay, how high is high? We're all about results and improving results. How can we improve results? So we thought, right, okay, we've reviewed their marketing, their advertising. We've amended it. We've improved it, and we've expanded it. So they're the 4 steps to think about when you're doing this. So review your results, amend them. What can you do to improve those results? And then expand them. Okay, so you spend more money on them, for example, with Facebook advertising. So we thought, right, well, let's do it again. We know the results we're getting, a 4-to-1 return on investment. So the next step is to amend. What we're going to amend now? Well, we thought, well, if we could get more clicks, we could spend more money and get more results on the return on investment. So rather than going for trying to get more than 4 times the investment of the ad, we thought we'd spend more money. So the next month we increased it to £2,000. Guess what? Give or take, instead of making £4,000, we made £8,000. It wasn't quite right, actually. It was something like 7,800 and something. I can't remember now. But, you know, pretty much we doubled the, we spent £2,000 and got nearly 8 back. So again, pretty good. We then thought, right, where could we go from here? And I thought, do you know what? I'd still like to improve the 1 in 4. Wouldn't it be great if we could get it to 1 in 6, 1 in 8? So every £1 you spend, you get 8 back. That'd be pretty good. Client was all for that. So I said, let's do this. Let's put a video on the landing page with you, a simple video. So we got the client to record a simple video going, hi, my name is, and thank you very much for visiting this page. Let me just tell you a little bit about what we do. Blah, 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 blah. So what I'd like you to do now is to click on the little link below, get yourself signed up, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Or I think it was, we'll get back to you soon. And that took it to, I wrote it down here, 1 in 6. We got a 50% increase from 1 in 4 to 1 in 6. So we're now spending £2,000 and getting whatever that is. What's £2,000 it's 12, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not an accountant, as you can tell. So we got £12,000 investment, and we just carried on with that process. We thought, right, what else can we do? Perhaps we could improve the headline. Perhaps add in some testimonials from satisfied clients to the landing page. That might help. We also worked on the headline of the advert and the content of the advert, and we improved that. And we worked on it and worked on it and worked on it over probably about the next 4 to 5 months. We worked on this advert. We eventually got it to a return on investment of 14 to 1. For every £1 they spent, they got 14 back. Now, at the time, as we progressed through that period of time, we spent more and more and more money. Why wouldn't we? We went from 1 in 4. Well, we went from 1 and got 0.5 back, to getting 1 in 4, to 1 in 6, to 1 in 9, to 1 in 14. And that was literally month on month. So we got it to a 1 in 14. By the time we got it to a 1 in 14, guess what the budget was? It wasn't £1,000, I can tell you that. It was actually £38,000 a month. They were spending 38,000. They got, he was, this guy's, my client was going, I can't believe we're spending £38,000 a month. And I said, yeah, you are. And you're getting £532,000 back per month. Per month. That's not a bad return on investment. Would you give me £38,000 if I gave you back £532,000? And I'm talking give or take. It wasn't always absolutely spot on, but it was as close as could be. That's something to think about, isn't it? If you could do that, and it doesn't have to be with Facebook advertising, by the way. This applies across the board. This could apply in terms of the time you take on LinkedIn to market your business on LinkedIn. I make 100 grand a year from LinkedIn. And I put a fair amount of effort into it. And that, by the way, is without spending money. That's not through advertising. But I've done what I said I did to help this client. I've reviewed my performance. I've amended and tried to improve. I've then expanded what I've done and doing more and more of it. I get over 1,500 people per month from LinkedIn to visit my website. How many do you get? Chances are, if you listen to this, you haven't got a clue. And I say that not to be horrible, but just based on my 30 odd years of experience working with businesses in probably 1,000 different industries and working with over 10,000 businesses. Most people don't have a clue. So don't feel bad. Just know that it's an opportunity to try to improve. So anyway, my client comes to me and says, what are we going to do next? How are we going to improve what we've got? And I said, this is real, cutting edge marketing. I say this very tongue in cheek. I said, I'd spend more if I was you. And he went, yeah, that's a good idea. So why don't we double up? I said, blimey heck, okay. So we doubled up, 38,000. We actually spent, I think it was £70,000 the following month. Guess what? It nearly, not quite, but nearly doubled his income. He turned over I think it was just under £1 million. £1 million from a £1,000 advert that wasn't working, that was losing him money, costing him £500 a month. He improved it and improved it and improved it, and eventually started spending £70,000 a month and making £1 million a month. It was actually just under. It was 970,000, something like that. But my belief is that, and I will tell you this, that all marketing works, all of it. Doesn't matter what you do, it all works. Even if that's sticking letters through people's doors, even in this modern digital world, it works. It just doesn't work all the time. And what you've got to do is to be good at looking for that needle in a haystack, that little thing that's going to make a big difference. And to do that, you might be able to do it yourself, but it might take you a phenomenal amount of time. not for any reason other than, this is not your expertise. Your expertise, if you're a typical business owner, is you're an expert at doing what you do. You're an expert at being a dentist or repairing cars or being a life coach or a consultant or a HR person or an accountant or a lawyer or a whatever it is you do. That's your expertise. If I'm a tennis coach, I'm going to be a really good tennis coach. That doesn't mean I'm going to be really good at marketing my tennis coaching business. And that's where I come in. I can help you. I've helped thousands of people. I wouldn't have been around for 30 years if I wasn't at least reasonably good at what I do. I spent a phenomenal amount of time, money, and effort learning my trade, my skill from the world's leading sales, marketing, and business growth experts. I still learn today. I'm learning right now about how to use AI to its real full potential. There's AI is not something for the future. This is something for now, right? It's going to get bigger in the future. Yeah, it's going to change in the future. Absolutely. But right now, there's so many opportunities that people are not taking advantage of. They think AI is chat GPT, yeah, I can go in there and ask it to do something. Well, that's like saying the internet is about email marketing. It's only like a small part of it. And, we need to learn it all. So I'm really, basically upskilling on that right now. But anyway, if my point being, if I can help you, I'd love to. And my help starts, believe it or not, at £10 a month. That's £10 a month for my AI. I've developed this AI called the Results Mastery AI Advisor. You can gain access to me and my knowledge, my 30 years experience through my AI advisor for a tenner. And believe me, that is a no-brainer. It really is. You just got to do it, basically. If you want to go up from that, I've got something called the Results Mastery University, which is video-based training online, available to you 24/7. There's over, I think it's about 250 videos right now, covering everything from how to use LinkedIn to how to use search engine optimization, Facebook, Google Ads, networking, winning business from referral, and they're all called masteries. So it's like LinkedIn mastery, sales mastery, website mastery, and so on and so forth. A really good value, and you need to check that out on my website. Failing that, I've got something I call my Results Mastermind group, which is a fantastic group of people. We meet once a week on Zoom, and we share ideas. We go through our results. What results have we had this week? How can we improve them? We do what I've just said, a review, amend, improve, and expand. That's what we do. So if you'd like to be part of that, again, we need to have an initial meeting on that one. We don't accept everybody. We want people who are dedicated to improving, who are going to take action. So if you're interested in that, go to my website and book a meeting with me. I'll talk to you about how to do that in a minute. And then at the top of the tree, as it were, you can hire me as your part-time marketing director. The cost of that varies dependent on what you want me to do. But we can talk about that in a meeting. I don't pressure people into things, and really it's a meeting to decide if I can work with you, and you can work with me. Sorry about the phone going there. That was my wife trying to get hold of me. I should have put my phone on mute, but I'll call her back in a minute. Anyway, so if that's of interest, feel free to get in touch. Look forward to hearing from you. To get in touch with me, you'll see on the wall at the back, my results-mastery.com website, or down in the bottom corner there, again, we've got results-mastery.com. So feel free to get in touch, and I look forward to hearing from you and about you and what you do and what you're doing in terms of your marketing. Thank you ever so much for listening. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you again very, very soon. Thank you.